And we're live. Brian, we're live. Wake up.
Oh, sorry, man. Coach had me playing like 40-something minutes a game, but I was averaging 30-something with the headband.
Oh, you were doing the Gary Trent. See, I thought you were Drake on the sidelines with the Masai Ujiri, just passing out during the game last night.
No, I was not wearing a coat that was made by a bunch of raccoons from my backyard. No.
That was something else.
Skip, don't get me started really early in the show, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in onto the point with
Skip
and the King. You guys down there, thank you for watching us. Go click subscribe, go click like, leave a comment. We're still waiting for our 400th subscriber so we can give this away to you. I do not like clutter in my place, and neither does my mother. Okay? So you guys know what to do. We are more than happy to send it out to you. And thank you, all of you that have been supporting us over the last what, 3 years? Damn, Skip. Okay. Skip.
Yo.
It's just you and me today, man. Cozy.
Just you and me. We thought we had somebody lined up, but we can do it on our own. We'll rock this.
Hey, it's cozy and it's comfy. You know, too bad we're not sitting beside each other like we used to when we started before this whole pandemic. Now, speaking of the pandemic, okay, Skip, I have an issue. Okay.
What's that?
So far, the Toronto Raptors, your Toronto Raptors, have been playing over the last little while very well. They are in 8th place in the Eastern Conference. Like, if you guys can tune back, maybe go scroll through our videos. In the preview video, I did say the Raptors will be in the 8th spot and will be going for that play-in tournament. They have been going toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in the league. Milwaukee, Phoenix, Miami. They've been doing great against some of these great teams. Let's not talk about Detroit or Cleveland. Okay, let's keep that in our rear view. Keep it behind us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. But in order for them to get there, there has been this stigma, like I alluded to earlier at the beginning, of some of the starting unit that has been logging a lot of minutes, playing a lot of time. Now, as opposed to the other teams like Fred VanVleet right now, he is the number one player in the league when it comes to minutes played, average per game, right? Especially after the other night, the triple overtime versus Miami, where it was the first time in NBA history where all 5 starters played 50 minutes plus. Now, Skip, based on that, how do you feel and how confident are you in the Toronto Raptors starting unit?
Well, I'm very confident. I think it's a terrific unit. I think there's a reason that Nick Nurse goes back to it every night. And I think as long as Gary Trent keeps playing like this, I mean, he's going to be in that lineup for a while to come. 30 points in 5 straight games. Like, he's just insane right now. He's on fire. I thought it was funny how all of Raptors Twitter, all the girls on Raptors Twitter were mourning when Gary Trent got a girlfriend. And suddenly he goes off and does this. I had the thought, he's kind of reminding me.
I bet he went off.
But no, speaking of that, you know who reminds me of is, this is a bit of a deep cut, but you remember Bull Durham? He's kind of got that Nikola Lush vibe. He's got that Nikola Lush, like, he's just so unself-conscious. He's just so, like, he's young, he's free, he's wild. He's a little nuts. Like, he walks around with a Prada basketball. Like, who does that? He's just out there.
You wouldn't know the reference I'm gonna make, but I would say Terrence Trent D'Arby.
Yeah, I don't get that reference. But anyway,
you guys go check that out.
Gary Trent's just going off, and he's popping off, and like I said, the girlfriend, the new Bruce reference. You even see it in the interviews with Amy Audibert. Like, he's just spouting out these athlete cliches, and you can tell he's just like a little bit like, ugh. But anyway, it doesn't matter. As long as he's pouring in 30 points a night, like, I will take it. And you go down that starting unit, and I think they've all found their roles, right? You got Fred VanVleet. He's the playmaker. He's the initiator. He's the spot-up shooter. He's the guy who takes the shots when no one else is there to take them. Pascal, he's playing, as everyone has been saying, ad nauseum, best basketball of his career, initiating, scoring. Some of the ways he's been ripping through on guys, like, I was really excited about the assists he's been getting a couple episodes ago, but I've really noticed.
It's like you said yesterday. He's not scared to go to the hole anymore.
Yeah, he's so much more physical in the paint. Like, even the year that he won Most Improved, the year they won the title, he was still really spinning away from contact. It was all spin cycle, use your speed to get past guys. He's really changed his game. Like, he's just plowing through guys. Like, sometimes he'll get double, triple teamed, and he'll just motor through and like get a layup and one. Like, that's a new Pascal Siakam. And then you add the assists on top of that. Then you got OG. He's working as a spot-up shooter. He's working as a post-up player. He's obviously your premium defender. He's a very important player to this team. And then you got Scotty in there as Fred VanVleet.
OG's so calm, cool, and collected.
Well, and he's hitting those mid ranges, like those step back mid range jumpers. Like, that was not in his game 2 years ago. And then you go to Scotty, right? And Scotty's sort of like, he's a bit of a mismatch with the rest of this unit, but he can kind of be your Swiss Army knife. He can pass, he can rebound. He's basically playing as, like, Fred VanVleet keeps saying. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Keeps saying he's playing like a big man role, which is kind of true. I don't know if that's exactly what he's doing, but yeah, he's getting the rebounds, getting putbacks, spreading the floor, like passing the ball. Those no-look passes are going to go down. I think 2-3 years down the road, we're going to see those passes on highlight reels.
Like a Tim Duncan meets Allen Iverson.
Not right Allen Iverson, not AI, but
what? Meets a Magic Johnson. Come on, he's got all
maybe
those
Magic
elements.
Johnson. I don't know. Anyway, so that 5-man unit is doing
36 minutes a game.
Yeah, that 5-man unit is doing work. I thought it was interesting though. The other day I saw a stat that 5-man unit as a unit is actually a net negative in plus minus.
How much?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I was just surprised to see that. And then I thought about it, and I realized that a lot of that's just because they're beginning to go slow starts. They'll start the game. They'll have a bit of a rough go in the first quarter, and then you'll see a guy like a Boucher or a Precious step in. And the
I have a
interesting
reason
thing
for that, but we'll get into that later.
So the interesting thing about that stat is that Boucher in the starting lineup with any of the 4 other starters is actually a net positive. So is that a matter of Boucher playing the big man role, that they don't have a traditional big man? Is that a matter of just Boucher's coming in when the bench units on the other team are coming in, and so he's getting easier matchups? I think that's probably more what it is. I think clearly the 5-man unit is the best. The starting 5-man unit is the best on the floor. There's a reason that's the closing lineup, the starting lineup. That Nurse keeps going back to that. But I thought that stat was a little bit interesting. And the other interesting stat I saw was that the only member of the Raptors starting unit with a negative defensive box plus minus is actually OG Anunoby. It's actually OG. So that made me wonder, because is that, I don't know the exact vagaries that go into that stat, but is that a matter of OG is actually struggling on defense, or is that a matter of, no, OG's out there when the other team's best player is out there? And if you're matching your minutes with LeBron, like, you're going to get outscored in those minutes. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, to sum up, I'm super happy with how the starters are. I think the way this team has come together in January, if they could just fix that bench a little bit, I think the Raptors will be well on their way to a playoff spot, maybe even a first-round upset. But we'll see. What do you think?
Okay. My take on the Raptors starting unit.
Yeah.
legs, bro. They, as you sip on that Raptors cup.
Yeah, I didn't get there. Sorry.
Yeah, I know you're drinking tea, but they're getting tired with the amount of minutes that they're playing. But however, for the minutes that they are playing, I do appreciate what they're doing. Like VanVleet's averaging 21 and a half so far this season, points per game. You know, getting 7.1 assists, like keeping his eye on the floor, right? He's doing very well three-point wise. You know, he's key. He's clutch. He's like logo. It's like you and myself and Tim were talking the other day. He said he loves Dame from logo. I said I love Steph from logo. And you said Freddie from logo. I'm liking what Pascal is doing because it's like what I said last year on the show, is that he took the reins as being the man for the Raptors, right? And he didn't know how to accept that role. Everybody was giving him, I'm going to say it, everyone was giving him shit. Michelle Reeves, please do not give it to me for saying this, for him not being mild P, but he's been pretty spicy. He's been getting hot. He didn't know how to accept that role. And now, like, as you alluded to, of him going to getting at defenders, going after them, taking them to the hole, not that typical spin cycle. It's like I spoke with a friend of mine yesterday, and she loves Kobe. And I said, I do the turnaround fadeaway off the left. Everyone knows it's coming, but it happens, and I'm still scoring. Everyone knows his spin cycle is coming, and he's going to score. He's going after it, and he's actually kept his head up and also kept an eye out for the other players to maybe make that pass, like you said, with the passing and the assist, because right now he's at 5.1 assists for this year. Currently, recently, it has stepped up. OG Anunoby, I'm very disappointed that you brought that up, that he's minus. Damn. Because this guy is like...
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just interesting. Like, he's not way in the negatives or anything. It's like minus 0.1 or something. But it's just funny. It's not what I would have expected.
Hey, man, that guy, you can rely on him at any time in the game to make a bucket, to do something, to get a possession, offense or defense, whatever you can do. Scotty, let me tell you, Scotty, the future of the team. No questions asked. Like, he's logging more minutes than any other rookie in the league right now. Okay? Yeah, you guys go look that up. I checked it out. Don't mess with me.
Doesn't surprise me.
Okay? Yeah. But even though he's logging the most minutes, he still has his role to play at being the 4 on the core 4, right? Even though 14.7 points per game, 7.7 something like that, rebounds per game. But the true story is, and I got to take this, I got to put my foot in my mouth. At the beginning of the year, I did say I'm not happy with Gary Trent being a shoot first guy, but he is actually stepping up. When he's hot, he's on fire, my friend.
He's one of those one-dimensional players who if their one dimension is not functioning, it's rough to watch. But when they go off, it's like they go out. Like I keep relating it back to baseball, but it's like when Edwin Encarnacion was on the Jays and he would hit like 7 homers in a week. It's just like bang,
Eric Encarnacion.
Yeah, well, that guy, yeah. No, and I mean, it's the same in basketball, right? Like your Jordan Clarksons, your guys who just go off, and like that. If Gary Trent could be that guy with this group of other starters, like this could be a really good team.
This can be a really good team when he's on point, but when he's not, it ain't that good, man. It's kind of I don't let my mom watch the game anymore because she might get a heart attack.
Well, he doesn't give you much else, right? He doesn't give you the other than now he has stepped up defensively, but he doesn't give you the rebounds.
Immensely.
He's a shoot first guy
compared to where he was before. Yes.
Yeah.
But the Raptor starters have started. The Raptor starter has played so many minutes throughout the games. Now, Skip, what about the bench? And yes, I'm going to say this. I did say this was Bench Mob 2.0. Skip,
I
What
wish
about the bench,
I
man?
wish I had an egg for you. You want an egg?
Ma, give me an egg.
The bench has obviously.
I don't want to ruin my soup, girl.
The bench has obviously been the biggest weakness on the team. I don't think there's any way you can not be disappointed in how they performed. But that said, there are some silver linings if you really squint to look for them. Obviously, Chris Boucher has really stepped up ever since the same time as the rest of the team, end of December, beginning of January. He's really stepped up. He's become a very positive player. He's not necessarily an impact player, but he's giving you positive minutes when he's out there. I looked at some of the advanced stats.
20.1 minutes per game.
Like value over replacement player. He's actually been the best on the team outside of the starters. Then you got Precious Achiuwa, who's actually not been especially good this year, but he's been eating up a lot of minutes. He's by value over replacement player.
24 and a half.
By value over replacement player, he's been the worst player on the team, but that's mostly just because he's logged a lot of minutes. But he's been a work in progress, and I think we've seen that the Raptors are willing to be patient with him, willing to let him grow with the team, and he has shown strides over the course of the season. He had a nice game against Miami last night. He's developing. I mean, we got to remember, this guy's a second-year player. He's not a super high pick.
Last night, as of this recording, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the Miami game. Sorry. So he's developing, and they're committed to his development, so that's fine. Those are minutes that you can cut if you really have to. If you get into a playoff situation and he's still struggling, maybe you cut those minutes out of your lineup, but that's okay for the regular season. And then you go down the list, like Kem. We really haven't seen Kem play this year that much because it seems like every 5 games he's out, right? Broken nose, and I think he missed the first 5 games of the season too. So we haven't really seen a fully healthy roster with Kem on it, which would
he's getting more injuries than Anthony Davis. Shoot.
Yeah, and I mean, there's real concern there. He is a bit of an older player. He might be a little more beat up, but a broken nose, that's a fluke injury. Then you go down the list, Dragic. If Dragic was here, he would be playing big bench minutes and he would be contributing to this team, but he's not. So trade deadline, we've been over this the last episode. If we can get someone in here for Dragic, whatever that trade is, whoever the name is, someone who can play those minutes that Dragic is not playing right now, that immediately drops everyone else down a peg, further down the bench lineup. And it makes it much more conceivable that a bench of Boucher, Birch, and whoever you get for Dragic, that'd be 3 guys right there. Everyone behind them, suddenly you've got an 8-9 man crew, right? And then your guys like your Champagnes, your Utahs, your Svi Mihailovics, your Dalino Bantons, those guys would be much more in their comfortable role where they're the 10th, 11th, 12th guys off the bench. They're the guys who come in when someone has foul trouble. That you don't have to rely on them so much, because I think that's why Nick Nurse is kind of staying away from those guys, because he doesn't trust them. And if you look at the advanced stats, they're totally average. They're replacement level players so far this year, which is fine for what they're doing, but you can see why Nurse is reluctant to lean on them too heavily. So really, I think there's room to improve the bench, and I think it could be a lot easier than it seems. I think the bench by the end of the year could be a lot better than the bench right now, just with maybe 1 or 2 solid moves at the deadline.
Skip.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to defend myself here. I did say at the beginning of the year, and I have been saying that this can be bench mob 2.0. As you sip
that's
out
the window, though. That's out the window.
And let me tell you why it's out the window. Nick Nurse is not playing these guys. He's putting them in for garbage minutes, keeping the rotation tight. I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little mad right now, but keeping it at a 7-man rotation, maybe throwing in one of those bench players here and there, no, that's not going to cut it. Listen, the trade deadline is looming. They can use these players up their value in the league to maybe either trade them or to keep them. Who knows? But they're not being utilized. They're not being seen by the NBA. They're seeing internationally, outside of the States, like we see it. Yuta Watanabe, number one selling jersey in Japan, right there, right? We can capitalize on that. Look at Jeremy Lin, number one selling when he was here, number one selling jersey in China, won a championship. We utilized him. I said we.
Raptors fan.
Okay, the Raptors can utilize the bench, and I think these guys need to be used more to either up their value for the trade, like you were saying, right? To get a good trade, to get somebody else off that bench, or to actually have them take time off from the starters so they're not tired. Like right now, as of this recording, Skip, 4 or 5 days the Raptors are playing, and you and I are working 5 days this week, either watching the game or filming. It's tiring, right?
Yeah, it really is.
It takes its toll on you. So I personally think Nick Nurse should utilize this bench more. Use these guys. Like I don't care what Malachi Flynn's dad had to say. Use him. The kid can play. Use Yuta. I don't need to see him in a mask. I love this guy. This guy can ball. Look at that picture right there with the blocks. This guy can actually ball. Now, I have to ask you, based on what I just said, Skip, how would you feel about the coaching so far this season?
Well, I mean, you can't complain about it, really. I mean, obviously Nurse. I will. Nurse has done a great job of getting his team to play really hard, to buy into the schemes and just the principles of playing really hard. Like, I think someone mentioned last game that it was really remarkable how the Raptors were able to play really hard down the stretch on second nights of back-to-backs. That's not every team does that. Some teams just sort of like say
whooping Miami, whooping Milwaukee, yes.
Yeah, but some teams on the second night of a back-to-back, like the game starts to get away from them, they're just like, oh man, I gotta go back to the hotel. Like we're just gonna mail it. Yeah, I'm not naming names. I'm just saying like it's really notable how hard the Raptors play. And that you have to attribute that to the coaching staff. And the fact that he has this team at above 500 after moving on from Lowry, after dealing with some injuries and some COVID stuff. I mean, obviously there's extenuating circumstances in our favor, like teams not bringing their players to Toronto at certain times.
They don't want to cross the border for some reason.
But I absolutely think Nurse has done a great job of getting this team all on the same page, at least the core players. Now, I think where things get a little, if you really want to dive into the coaching, some of this might not be coaching. It might be willy-nilly stuff. I don't know what the word is. But for example, the Dragic situation, is that ideal? No, that's not ideal, obviously. You don't want to send away a player who's could be a legitimate contributor because either he didn't mesh with the team, he didn't want to be here. We don't know the whole story behind that. I don't know if we ever will. Then you get into even the Malachi Flynn situation. That's a little awkward. And you look back at, I don't know if you remember, Stanley Johnson said something about Masai Ujiri said he couldn't play basketball or something like when he was with the Raptors. And I'm getting the same vibe from Malachi. Like there might be some stuff going on kind of behind the scenes that's, we all see the sunshine and roses on this side, right? The guys come out with the media, they're smiling, they're like,
it's all going to show you.
But like, we don't really see what happens in practice. We don't really see how the coaches treat the players behind the scenes. And I've heard some
soft like Charmin.
I've heard some whispers that the Raptors might not be the best team to play for in that sense. But then again, I mean, are you worried about winning or are you worried about being nice to people? I mean, we all saw The Last Dance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I think the other thing that I would be concerned about with the coaching staff is what you mentioned earlier, just about not being able to lean on the bench. As important as the starters have been, as much as Nick Nurse has maximized them, we don't really need another Tom Thibodeau here. We would like to just see if he could just lean on one guy and build a player who's maybe not incredible, maybe not like gonna impact the games.
Keyword being build.
Yeah, build a player up like a Utah or a Justin Champagnie, just to fill that role and to find his place in the league. Because I think Champagny, like, he hasn't been great, but he's been fine. He's been fine, and that's all they need. They need a guy who's fine. It isn't going to hurt the team, and that's all he's been. And if Nurse could just like take a guy like that and let him grow and develop, because Champagny's only 20 years old. Like, we don't know what his upside is. If he could be this player now, let him. Like, Utah's a little bit of a different story. Utah's just a guy they got, for, I don't know how they acquired him.
Hey, don't diss my boy.
No, but I mean, he's totally just a replacement level player they got. Champagny, like, he's young. He might be nothing, but he might be something, and you have minutes to give him. Same with Malachi to a different extent, and Dallin O'Banton. I mean, the Malachi Flynn might be out of the bag, that situation, but even Dallin, like, I think they're kind of leaning into just, give him 10 minutes a game and let him just, not the big minutes, obviously, but let him just fail and see what happens.
Yep. Skip. Okay, so I just got to say one thing for you and everybody out there. The game the other night against Miami and the last few games against Miami, guys, please do not be upset about the GOAT, the greatest Raptor of all time, not showing up to the game. Nobody knows what the exact issue is, but
we've all heard the rumors. We've all heard the rumors, and we want to get into that.
Yeah, please show some respect. Please show no disrespect to him at all. Like, give it to him. Like, send your thoughts and your prayers, like you would do on Facebook, whatever. Send your thoughts and your prayers to him, because he is the GOAT, and there is some issues going on there, which we do not know about, has not been reported, but he is the GOAT. But now, Skip.
Yeah, he's still just one thing. He's still, he might be a Heat player, but he's still a Raptor for life. So let's be sensitive there.
Yes, guys, be very nice there. Hopefully, we'll see him next time Miami comes back, and to pay the tribute to him, which he's very well deserving of. So, Skip, over so far through the season, you apparently have come up with this. You have 4 key factors for the Toronto Raptors. Now, do you want to go through this, like their turnover percentage?
Yeah. So I wanted to go back when we were planning this episode. I wanted to go back and look at how the Raptors have looked as a team, because we really tend to focus on the players, like the day-to-day stuff, like what's happening. Yeah. I just wanted to zoom out and kind of just look at some of the basketball reference numbers and see how they're performing as a team.
So here we've got factors, ladies and gentlemen. Here's number one.
Up on the screen, we got the 4 key factors. So the first one, obviously, this is possession type stuff. So the first one's turnover percentage. How many turnovers you get, how many turnovers you force, how many turnovers you commit yourself. Yeah. The second thing is obviously rebounding, how you offensively rebound versus how you defensively rebound. That's pretty self-explanatory. Second thing is effective field goal percentage, or the third thing is effective field goal percentage. That's basically a field goal statistic that is.
Do you want to get into any of those before we get to the next one?
I'm not going to get too specific, but it's. I think most people know what it is. It measures how efficient you're scoring, your efficiency of your scoring rate, essentially by factoring 2s and 3s and free throws, etc. And then the last one there is free throw percentage, which is not how many free throws you convert, but it's how many free throw attempts you get sort of per field goal attempt. And yeah, so if you go down the list, we could see how the Raptors are performing. They are obviously a team that forces a ton of turnovers, and they don't commit very much. They win that battle almost every single night. At the same time, they're a team that prevents teams from scoring. They really slow down other teams' offenses, but they're also terrible at scoring themselves. So the end result of that is both sides get 1 million offensive rebounds and putbacks. So that's just sort of equaling the playing field there. And then the final thing is they're a team that gets absolutely murdered by the whistle, fairly or unfairly. That's all right, Brian. I'll let you go up on this.
I have been saying long before this podcast, Skip, you can attest to this. I have been saying anywhere any referee that's from south of the 52nd parallel across that border, maybe Trump should have built a wall there. Did I just say that? Yes, I did. Okay? They should not be officiating Raptors games. I am saying, I'm looking at the numbers right now, Skip. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Every game, we're all in that group chat. You, me, a bunch of the To The Point family while we are watching the game. And you guys can attest for this. I will say at the beginning of the game, the refs are taking the Raptors out of the game. They call it ticky-tack, shitty fouls right at the beginning of the game to put them in that position where it's like, oh, snap. Freddie's got 3 fouls in the first quarter. Okay, we got to pull him back. We need him in the fourth, right? Takes him out the rhythm of the game. It could be Freddie. It could be OJ. It could be Pascal. It could be Scotty. It could be anybody on that team. Okay, even when Chris Boucher comes in, they still call those bullshit fouls. Yes, I said it, ladies and gentlemen. And it doesn't show up all the time on free throw attempts because a lot of these are ticky-tacky fouls. You get fouled, you might get pulled out. And as a former coach, I know if one of my guys are getting in foul trouble in the first quarter, I got to pull you out because I need you in the fourth, right? Which changes the dynamic of the game.
Okay, Brian.
For us. No, hold on. I'm not done flipping out. Because I've seen a lot of these coaches' challenges not getting overturned. Meanwhile, it's clear. Look at PJ Tucker the other night. Dude, I could go. Skip, please, say something. Because
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, counterpoint. Look at the first number on that. Look at the first number on that list. The Raptors are second in turnover percentage and second in turnovers forced and third in turnovers given up. So they're winning that battle. How do you win that battle every single night? You know how you win that battle every single night?
Hard ass defense.
Yeah. You know what Fred VanVleet said in his press conference after the Miami game? Someone asked him what other teams think of the Raptors. And he said other teams say the Raptors hack all the time. And usually they do. And in another interview, I remember he said, it's nice when the refs let us play prison ball, isn't it? So, you can't sit here and complain that the Raptors getting fouls called against them when they're admitting themselves that they're playing prison ball out there. And the numbers bear it out. They are preventing other teams from scoring. They're forcing turnovers. That, as you can be the best defenders in the world, you can't do that. You can't play that type of style without ever fouling anybody.
Dude, I'd be squatting like Nick Nurse with some of these bullshit calls.
The Raptors get up in your face and they defend like their balls off. Don't get me wrong. But that includes a lot of swatting at balls, a lot of things that can easily get called a foul. And there's definitely a reason why the Raptors are where they are in free throw percentage.
Hey, you and everybody else out there, don't get it twisted. A foul is a foul. But when I watch a bullshit foul, I gotta say something about it. Okay? LeBron.
I'm not going to sit here and complain about the whistle. I honestly am not.
I'm not complaining about the whistle, but I'm saying it changes the tide of the game.
There's a couple calls every night that you that OG push in the triple overtime game. There's a couple calls a night where you go, oh my God, that was so clearly not a foul. But that happens for every team. Every team's fans thinks that the refs have it in for them. So it's not we can't sit here and say that the Raptors don't foul people more than they get fouled.
Name Tony Brothers. You can kiss my ass and go to hell.
This is just the style that the Raptors play. I mean,
but even though the Raptors are getting fouls here and there, right? Hasn't been pretty balanced. They have not been hitting those free throw attempts consistently.
There is that too. There has been some issues there,
which can change the tide of a game. Fouls and getting fouled, which can change the tide of the game.
Yeah, that's a slightly different. I'm more focused on the possession battle. I remember Spoelstra saying that after the Heat game that the Raptors dominated the possession battle, and that's just what they do, right? They're not a good shooting team. They're not a good offensive team. They're a team that just forces you to play in the muck with them and get dirty, and they're going to be standing there at the end because here's the plus side of Nick Nurse playing everyone a million minutes a game. The Raptors, by the end of the season, they're going to have the best athletes in the whole damn league. because these guys are young and they're all in great shape. I mean, most NBA players are in great shape, but if Nick Nurse runs these guys like they're stallions, he's running them and they're 40 minutes a night. Like you go against the guy who's used to playing 30 minutes a night. Like, yeah, he's prepared. He's used to it. Like once they get to the playoffs, presuming that happens, that is sort of the upside that I think Nurse is kind of leaning into this a little bit, where he's saying, I think these guys can play 40 minutes a night. And I think that we're going to be more ready at the end of games if we're used to playing 40 minutes a night. So there is that side of it too.
Skip, you did say it right before we get out of here. You did say they will play dirty and run amok, because that is what us from Toronto, that's the way we're supposed to say it, right? That's how we like our rap. We don't like guys sitting in the stands wearing jackets made out of raccoons from their backyard. We don't like that. We are grimy. We are mucky. This is our identity. This is our culture. This is who we are as Torontonians. You know what I mean? We could even talk like the Toronto man, right? We could even talk like that. But Skip, this has been a great conversation. Before we get out of here, I love your 4 key factors. We will see you guys next week. We will be definitely here talking to you guys. We appreciate you guys for watching, enjoying our show. Make sure, don't forget, go down there, click subscribe, click like, leave a comment. You know, once we get to 400, you get one of these, okay? You guys know where to find Skip, SimonBroder.com, Running the Point on Amazon.ca. His other short story. You guys can find him anywhere at Dougie J's on Twitter. You guys know where to find us at To The Point on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You guys can get at us for everything we put up. We appreciate you guys more than you think. That's why we're here doing it for you, Toronto Raptors fans. So, Skip, you have anything to say before we get out of here?
I think just to finish my point, I think it's great that the Raptors have found their identity. And,
grimy.
Yeah, grimy, dirty. Like that's who they are, and they know that, and they lean into it, and that's how they've been all season. And I think we can expect that for the rest of the year as well.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, Skip, and the rest of To The Point family, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace.